Hello, Lou. How are you?
Hi, Callie. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. Really excited to have you on the Arc Education NZ. Lou, you have so much experience and so much, not only experience in your field, but life experience and compassion. And we know each other personally, and I'm very, very excited to have you on board. Would you like to introduce yourself, speak a little
Yes.
bit about yourself, your passion, and what you offer?
Lovely. Thanks, Callie. And likewise, very excited to be on board with you and join everybody else as well. My name's Lou Rakenna, and I'm a trained intuitive coach. I'll explain that a bit in a minute. And also I work in with energy, teaching Tai Chi and Qigong, which I found in my life has helped to release negative energies. I believe that you can't really work the mind without then having to work the body and the spirit, however you interpret that. To me, it's your innate essence, what you were born with, which can often be dampened and pushed down, trampled on, and all those things. So the intuitive coaching is really working from what they call the creative orientation. So using our imagination, opening the heart to actually listen to what you personally, me, you, we all want, which is often denied after the early years in life. Denied, again, trampled on, forgotten about, not nurtured. That's the other thing as well. You know, sometimes
Yes.
parents do their best, teachers as well, but don't really see the person. And if that young person isn't attuned to that, isn't brought up in that way, then that can get lost until much later on in life, where there's a lot more to undo, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the system is designed to condition people out of that because it's a
Absolutely.
very empowering um, place to be. Um, and without sounding very conspiratorial or anything, we're pretty much um, conditioned to compliance and control rather than empowerment and creativity. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I think
Yeah,
most
absolutely.
people would. Most people
Oh,
would
thank you.
understand.
Yeah, and also, you know, my experience, I, I suppose, suffered. I would use that word, but went through a lot of emotional and mental health challenges when I was younger,
Mm.
born out of childhood experiences, which were later, I later uncovered. But you know that led me into the world of clinical depression, anxiety, breakdowns, lost basically.
Trauma.
And you talk of the system. I believe it's not just the educational system, but it is the social
It's the whole
system
system.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I then later, I mean, I found the strength in me, build up resilience. I went through all sorts of different treatments and what have you, some good, some not so good. But that taught me a great deal of what
Yeah.
I would help somebody with and steer them to and steer them away from.
Mm.
And look, my experience is my own. I'm not advocating that people don't sign into the system if it helps, and medication and
Mm.
stuff. I think it's good short term, but certainly not for the long
Long
term. And there's
term, yeah.
many young people and older continually on antidepressants and all sorts of things, which actually don't really do much at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
They
So
mask it. They
yeah,
mask it, don't
absolutely.
they?
And they numb that creative
Mm.
um, spirit. They numb that imagination, and that then takes me into the more of the spiritual side as well, because I do believe now, looking back, that there was a lot of that going on with me, and
Mm.
people didn't understand it. I
Yeah.
certainly didn't. I didn't have the emotional intelligence, and
Mm.
born into a certain family with different dynamics going on, and they did their best, but it wasn't the best for me.
Yeah,
And then, of course, I took
absolutely.
that into the big wide world. So, really, my work now is going forward more about finding And in young people, it can be beautiful, because if you build up that strength and that knowing from a younger age and just start walking that path, your path, finding your way, what your heart is calling you to do, never mind society or anybody really, then that is a wonderful thing to explore and to step into. And also the energy work, you know, movement, I believe physical movement is so, so important. You know, we spoke about something the other day in a group, and longevity. Well, that's what it's all about. Absolutely. Following your heart, opening your heart to your truth, to all that you're capable of. And that doesn't have to be, you know, a millionaire and doing this, that, and the other. You're just living in a shack on a lovely beach with enough to live on, and a community or friendships around you, or just being on your own but happy. It's whatever is true for you. So Absolutely. That's really what I'm about. And I worked with young people at risk and families some years ago. And that was very insightful to see how, you know, those young people were lost in their life, but also, you know, trying to follow someone else's path, trying to fit into their dynamics. And I'm not knocking, parents do the best they can, as do teachers generally, and all of that. But, you know, born into trauma already for many, at the tender age of 12 and 13, they were already mature beyond their years, but emotionally so young that the two just didn't match.
They can't cope.
No, absolutely. And of course, then they get into gangs, negative, not all, but it takes a lot of strength and resilience to be able to go a different route or stand alone. And they just take that until, you know, they could end up in prison or
they're seeking to belong.
Absolutely.
Because they don't understand or have an experience of being powerful within themselves. So, you know, there's safety in numbers, and all the disenfranchised behaviors start coming out when you don't know who you are or where you're going, or
and you're following the herd, aren't you? You're following the leader, whoever that is.
Absolutely.
And any attention is better than no attention at that point.
Absolutely. So yes, I totally get what you're saying, and the whole direction of the ARC is to hopefully direct everyone, not just young people, but young people in particular, because that's my passion, but towards their hearts, and to recognize their innate powers that we all have. We all have this innate power to create, and we do it all the time, whether it's conscious or not. And that's the key, is to make it conscious, so that you are creating what you want, not what you don't want.
From a higher place, rather than the need to fix, to change, to get away from, to
survive. That's survival.
Exactly. And, you know, it is, as you say, extremely important, young people, but we've all got that young person inside. And if that young person's been locked up, pushed away, shut in a box, whatever, shut up literally for amount of years, then, you know, that also it can help, because things can change in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I remember thinking this myself and saying it, but if I do this, it's going to take me 3 or 4 years. Well, those 3 or 4 years, you know, God willing, me willing, and I'm still around, I'm still going to be living. So what does it matter wherever you start from? So it's very important for me, especially now as I'm transitioning as well in my life, in my older years. And I, you know, still have many left, I hope, and I trust. So
I'm sure.
You know, at the end of the day, it's as you said, the word's empowerment, you know, connecting with your genius, your greatness, getting to your heart, but also understanding your body. That's really important to me, because if you're at home in your body and yourself, then really you can conquer whatever. And I always coin this, my tagline, if you like, my phrase: hold your vision, have faith, and remember there is always a way. That's something, you know, even if it does feel tough and you are in survival mode, there is always a way. There's always a way through, a way out, even if you're feeling like whatever.
Absolutely. And often we need to get out of our own ways, our own way, to find that way through.
Yes. Yeah. And it can take whatever time it takes.
Yes. So that leads quite nicely to your intuitive profiles, Lou, because you know, if we know where we're getting in our own way, we can actually step back and allow life to work.
Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. So the intuitive profiles is a great tool to start with, a great service really to begin the coaching journey for anybody, because it actually, let's just say you've got two halves to the whole, to the pie. So it takes, you know, the not so good, the one that's gone off, let's say the negative one, and the really sweet, tasty one that, you know, we often delay or can't get to. So if you know who you are, your traits, your behaviors, in your not so nice bits, let's say in your victimhood, in your lower self, then you can also realize who you are in your sweetness, in your greatness, in your grandeur. And we all have, and both can be equally confronting, because if you've never been to the latter, the greatness, then it's like, who am I, you know, to coin a phrase. That person. But if you don't know how you trip yourself up and who you are in the darkness, which is actually fundamentally, I think, the core of it all, because then you can look at that and think, well, that's really not going to help me to get to there. So what do I do?
And you can actually choose for something different, can't you? Then?
Exactly. You can know, you can stop yourself, you can learn other things through my coaching and other resources to actually, right, what do I do with this? The processes to work on, but also change my orientation, like you know, going out orienteering, literally change your compass. Think, well, if I keep going down there, I'm going to go down a ditch. So I need to, like, you know, find a different course.
Absolutely.
And it's all about. So it's very enlightening, very powerful, confronting, but I'm there with people doing it. So I'm not going to keep people in that space. And there's a way through to actually help people start learning how to change their focus and their course. As you say, it's all about choice, making conscious choices from the best place of ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And along with that, you do Qigong and Tai Chi, which is actually what I see it as a really beautiful way to balance, you know, the spiritual with the physical and kind of ground it all in, so that it's a holistic approach.
So absolutely.
Tell us about a little bit about how you do your Tai Chi and Qigong.
Sure. I teach in person, but I also teach online. So it doesn't really matter where in the world you are, provided we can, like we're talking now, we can arrange a day and time, then that's great for corporates and individuals, because obviously, you know, mental health in the workplace, challenges, focus, choices, all those things are important there too. Tai Chi, beautiful art form, a martial art in its true origins. I teach it for health, and it's wonderful because both are very similar but equally different. I would recommend to anybody to have a look at Qigong first, purely because it was born and created for longevity and good health. So there's no martial aspect, albeit there's soft Qigong and hard Qigong. But I teach the soft Qigong, and it's really about learning flexibility, good posture, learning to flow. So I liken, and many have said, Tai Chi, Qigong, if you think of a tree, I love trees and nature, you know, they've got a strong trunk, based on solid foundations, the roots. And then you get to the middle bit, which is like our waist, which needs to learn to be more flexible and supple. And then you've got the upper body, which is the branches, which is the bits that will flake off and grow back and bend in the winds and feather all weathers, all seasons. And that's really what it's about, from the base up, from the bottom up. And that also transfers into my coaching from my own life experiences, and not just this model of coaching, but based on the fact that you've got to go through something to come out the other end. Not about holding yourself there, taking residence in that dwelling, in that place, but it is about going through it and looking. And that's where I believe my strength has come from. And it was, very frightening. But, fear won't kill you. It's the fear of it all. And actually, the more you suppress it and keep things down, the body holds it. So these two ways of being of service, the coaching and the energy work, as you very clearly said, is a way of dealing with the whole. Because what your mind can create, can start working on, the body holds different negative energies, and not just from past experiences and trauma, but every day we're faced with stresses and negative energies, our own, other people's, the world, the way the environment is. So it's good to keep clearing the body to then allow the mind more clarity as well. So above and below, heaven and earth, the yin and the yang.
As above, so below.
Exactly. And vice versa, as within, so without.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, it was lovely to speak to you, Lou. And if you need to get hold of Lou, and I highly, highly recommend her coaching and her Tai Chi and Qigong, please head over to www.thearcheducation.co.nz, and she's actually under several different parts of our directory, so you can have a look at the health and well-being. You will definitely find her there. There's also the personal development and business support, and also in the sports section as well. So you can't miss her.
Oh, thank you, Callie. And lovely to speak to you too. It's been a pleasure. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.